Okay, our microphones are now on. Okay, welcome everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thanks. Angie, would you like to do the roll call tonight?
Thomas. Here. Otto. Here. Westover's here. Ingstrom.
Here.
Dockett.
Here.
Braun. Here. Chick.
Here. All right, that takes us on to our next item, which is the consent agenda, which is the minutes and bills. Wayne, did you want to have those moved, or
regular meeting?
We are in the regular meeting now, correct?
I have one thing on the bills, and it's just one little tiny thing that somebody could probably tell me in just a second.
Okay, yeah, why don't we do that instead of moving it down?
Okay.
All right.
It was. Okay. On page 2, no, page 4 of 15, bottom page.
Open or paid?
Of what?
Open or paid?
Page 4 of 15. It just surprised me. I'd never seen this before. Fund transfer. Cash. What does that mean? Fund transfer cash. Right here. Oh, okay, good.
No. We just opened new bank accounts with First National on M36. As you know, we're transferring our banking business from PNC. That $1,000 cash transfer, what we're doing is a dry run here. We put $1,000 in the new accounts, and you don't just transfer all your money over. You make sure things work first.
Okay.
So that's what that is. That's a small amount of money going into those bank accounts, us writing checks against them just to make sure everything works.
Okay, that's all I have on that.
And that's for the minutes and bills?
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, great. I'll make a motion to approve the motions, minutes and bills.
Support.
Ingstrom motioned and Chick supported. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. On to the adopt of the balance of the agenda. I do have one addition that we need to put on, which would be number 6 to the agenda items, and that is a discussion regarding the outstanding sewer bill relating to the Shell station. Anyone else need to add or delete anything?
You're putting on what, the one we were going to talk about is?
Yes,
Okay, so it's
the
number
one we talked about 2 weeks ago.
Number 6,
Number 6.
sewer bill.
Any other additions or deletions, anyone? I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda. Ingstrom motioned, Otto supported. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. This is on to our next item, which is call to the public. We have 2 opportunities to speak, one now and one at the end of the meeting. It's an opportunity for anyone to get up and speak. We do try to limit it to 3 minutes, and it is not a question and answer session. Do we have anyone that would like to speak to our call to the public? Come on up.
Happens all the time. Okay. I'm Mary Devlin, 9211 Brookside. What I have to say has nothing to do with anything on the agenda tonight, but I just feel I have to say it. You know me, okay? We're only 2 months away from the 2016 election year, and I would hope that anyone that plans to run for elected positions on this board would consider doing the following. Number 1, work for revitalizing downtown, starting with parking, because if you can't park conveniently, you won't shop. Also, work diligently for development on North Territorial, as well as residential homes. Also, to discourage any negative group to this idea by putting forth the positive aspect for them. Also to encourage a developer or our township to purchase the Van Curler property. Last, I would hope that they would work together well as a team for the betterment of our community. On another subject, I have a couple of questions. I know it's not a question and answer period, but I'm going to ask them and you can mull them around in your head anyways. Is Biltmore going to present anything to this board, or is that over? This, as well as the Meyer situation and the property on 8 Mile, have been on hold for far too long. And it's time that I would hope that the owner, who I'm sure on the 8 Mile property, I'm sure it's a very nice person, either does something with that property or sell it to someone that will develop it so we can get some things moving in this township. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else for call to the public right now?
Hello, David Gordon, 5558 Helena Road. I noticed that we have a special assessment district on the agenda tonight, and I'm kind of curious. I've been listening to a number of meetings, especially the discussion among this board about the amount of money that is being considered, which is multiple millions of dollars for the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant just to handle the existing SADs that we already have in our community. So to me, it feels as if we've got, we're adding to a burden that we can't even meet now. To meet the special assessment districts that we've already given to Green Oak and to other areas would cost us tens of millions of dollars in sewer expansion, and I don't know that the community is ready for that, so I'm curious why we're adding more special assessment districts at this point, or what the financial wisdom of that might be. Because the farmers always say, you know, when you find yourself in a hole, the first thing you ought to do is stop digging. And this, to me, seems like we're just digging a bigger hole. We're looking at $800,000 in borrowing, and it seems, again, like it's the cart before the horse, which this community has done many times financially, and I would hope that this board would implement some fiscal responsibility in that sense and not go out and add debt to our community. The notice for this was illegible. I saw it in the Ann Arbor News. There was no listing of the properties. I went to the website. There was no listing of the properties. I couldn't get it to upload at all. And the map was illegible. I don't consider that to be especially transparent, professional, or well done. I don't know who was responsible for that. I know this isn't a question and answer period, and that's why more than 6 weeks ago I delivered to the supervisor a list of 13 questions, none of which have been answered or addressed. One of them, of course, was the special assessment district. If we're going to extend sewers down North Territorial and down Whitmore Lake Road, it seems like it's kind of a coincidence that they're going to end right where the Biltmore property was going to hook in. But then there was the discussion that the tubing that you were going to put there for the sewers was too small to accommodate residential south of it. So has there been any thought to what the special assessment district is going to do if you put in a certain size sewer pipe and then 3 years later find out it's too small? It just seems like it's premature. There's a lot of other questions on this document that I turned in, and one of them had to do with the money that this township board appears to be wanting to spend to put themselves and make a nicer meeting hall up here to the tune of $65,000. Back on September 22nd, I sent to the township manager a list of 27 state departments, 5 state associations, and 15 federal departments, all of which could conceivably be contacted to find out whether or not they could rent the second floor of this building. If we start eating up the second floor with expensive meeting rooms. This is a large turnout tonight. We usually have an average of about 3 people here. It seems like it'll be harder to rent the second floor of this building. I don't know if there's been any efforts made by the township manager to contact any of these 30 different government, or 40 different government agencies that might be interested in renting the second floor, but we got $270,000 we're spending every year in debt service for the second floor of this building. That money could have been used for something much better. So I would ask you to consider getting a full plan before going ahead and adding yet another special assessment district to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak this evening? All right. Then let's move on to our correspondence and announcements. And anyone have anything, Howard, anything in addition to your memos?
No, not tonight.
Great. Okay, anyone else? That will take us on to our reports from our department heads. And Bill is doing police and fire this evening. Did anyone have any questions for Bill?
Now or?
Yeah.
On your report number 7 about the.
Police or fire? Police or fire?
Oh, you're on the police department?
No, either one.
What, you tell me.
Oh, I'm sorry, on the fire department.
Okay. Yep, gotcha.
I see you're bragging here about getting $2,500. I'm kind of teasing about the bragging. $2,500 back for the cost of the lighting project, but I would like to remind you that the LED lighting project cost us $41,300. So we've got a ways to go before you start patting yourself on the back.
I'm not. I'm just letting you know that it is starting to save. They told us it was going to take 3.5 to 4 years to recover that money, and the purpose of that was to show you that we are saving money.
Very good, but you got a long way to go. Thank you.
Bill has one action item that needs to be taken care of. I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of Charles Bagaran as a firefighter trainee, contingent on the passing of a physical and background check. Engstrom motion and Chick supported. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes.
I
Thank
had
you.
a question on that. Is this guy already a fireman?
No,
So he has no training?
no,
Okay.
correct.
Sorry, you're a little bit too fast.
No problem, I'm sorry. Okay, did you have anything for Bill on the police side?
Absolutely.
Sorry. Janet has one more thing on the
I
fire.
have a question for Bill. Number 4, explain what the rapid intervention equipment is.
So rapid intervention equipment is training and equipment that we use when a firefighter or a civilian becomes trapped in a fire. And it's the training portion of it is special techniques on how to breach a wall or enter collapsed areas. And then the equipment is specific to firefighter equipment for a firefighter that might be trapped and is running out of air. So we take equipment in to give them additional air and tools to extricate that person out. Thank you.
Anyone else for the fire for Bill? All right, police, anything?
Yeah, you have one on there that we had, 2 or 3 of us had questions on last. I don't see it.
I think that's an agenda item, Mr. Dockett.
Oh, that's
It
agenda,
is, yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, sorry, I don't have anything on the police.
All right, anyone else? Okay. And then let's jump over to the wastewater treatment plant. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts for Tim?
Yeah, I'd like to know what you're doing in my driveway today. Was that a pretty big deal?
Sunday, a homeowner tried replacing their own line from their house to our main, and he actually broke our main line. So Sunday we were repairing that line, and today we were finishing up with cleaning the pipe out, our main line out, and replacing the fence and putting it back as it was.
Looked like a major job.
I'm sorry?
It looked like a major job.
It turned out to be that way.
Okay, thank you.
Now, does the homeowner get charged for? Yeah.
He will be, yes.
Well, it'll be pretty hefty, too.
Yeah. All right. That takes us over to Tammy for the community center. Does anyone have anything for Tammy? No? How did the Halloween party go?
We
Sarah.
had 12 people that attended, which was up from last year, so that was good. Not as many as I'd hoped for, but slowly but surely we're getting there. We had a great time. So Frankenstein visited. We had lots of fun, games, activities. So
Great.
yeah, thank
Sorry
you.
we missed it. Anyone else for community center?
And then Tammy, just, I never responded to your email in regards to the reindeer
Oh yeah.
and it will be taken to the Kiwanis board.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay.
All right. Any questions for Kathy on the financial reports? No? Wayne?
Well, I'd like to say she's doing a very nice job with the pictures, anyway. Look at, oh, okay.
All right. Anything from Howard's manager report? Any questions for Howard? No? All right. Let's take us to the ZBA report. Anything to report?
No,
Jackie?
we did not have any meeting for this month or for October.
Okay. Janet, the planning commission, anything?
We did not meet since the workshop meeting, but there was a meeting previous to the workshop meeting, and one item of interest that actually came up was that the commissioners passed a motion, I think it was 5-2, to send a directive to Biltmore to present a plan that utilizes the present zoning in that area. They have not heard from them as far as I know.
That's it?
Have not, nothing, okay.
All right. And Tracy, anything for Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec master plan is out. We'll be talking about it. Other than that, nope.
All right. Great. Thank you. Okay. On to our next item, and that is the public hearing for the Whitmore Lake Special Assessment District regarding the assessment roll. I'd like to make a motion to enter into the public hearing. Support. Thank you. Engstrom motioned, and Thomas supported. And this is an opportunity for anyone to share your thoughts and agreement, disagreements, whatever you would like for that district. Is there anyone that would like to speak this evening in our public hearing?
Madam Supervisor?
Yes.
We do have a series of presentations prepared.
Great.
So I don't know if you
I
want
can't hear you, Howard.
We do have a series of presentations prepared on the sewer assessment district. So I don't know if you want to hear those presentations first or hear the public comments first.
Yeah, why don't we do the presentations first, so
Sorry that
maybe
I
some
didn't
questions
mention.
could be answered
Okay.
during that.
Let's make sure we call it what it says on the paper, North Territorial.
Okay.
I mean, just, I thought it was Whitmore Lake Road, but now I see on here it says, some of them says North Territorial, Whitmore Lake, Special Assessment. I don't know how many different names there are to this thing.
Oh, yeah, they do have it on, different up here. Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing.
Right, but we've always called it the Whitmore Lake Road.
Well,
And
here
that's
they
the way
call it
it's
the North
identified in the
Territorial, the one I'm
resolution.
looking at anyway.
Okay. All right, so to get going on our public meeting, who would like to get started on our presentation?
Good evening. I will talk a little bit about the engineering associated with the project. And I think Mr. Benzinski is here, as well as legal counsel if questions arise. But as you recall, the Special Assessment District as approved is on Whitmore Lake Road, just south of North Territorial Road. And just to give you a bit of history on the project, well, actually, one of the big constraints on the project is the area to the south here is quite low relative to other parts of the project. And so throughout the history of the concept, it has been established that that area would need to be pumped. So that's always been kind of the plan, is that this southern, maybe 30% of the project needed some sort of a pumping system. And that hasn't changed throughout. But to go through some of the real brief history of the project, again, we laid out originally that this area would be pumped with what we call grinder pumps, which is also called a low pressure system. These grinder pumps pump into a small pipe, and under pressure, then it forces the water uphill. The original concept was to push it up the hill far enough that then we could build a gravity sewer up to North Territorial Road. That was the concept about 3 years ago. We started the project. When we got into it during design, we hit some constraints at the intersection, in particular with the road commission, who had some constraints about where we could locate the sewer in the right-of-way. And that led us to needing a small easement from the property owner, which turned out to be a hurdle that we did not think we were going to be able to overcome. So that made going to the north a pretty difficult proposition. There is also a stub here right at the edge of the US 23 right-of-way that goes to the same North Territorial pump station. We started to look at that, but to get to that stub, we would need easements, and it's always, you always try to avoid getting easements if you can, due to the burden on the property owner and the time it takes. However, Mr. Ulysses was very kind enough to work with us to grant an easement across his property to the stub, which then changed the concept here where we could outlet the district kind of in the middle up to the US 23 right-of-way, and then it would flow north from that standpoint. So again, by doing that, we still needed to pump the southern end, and then we had some options for the northern end. We talked to township staff about that. We talked about the pros and cons of continuing a gravity sewer, which would be then from north to south. In the end, we determined it would be quite a bit cheaper to just extend this low pressure system, this force main system, throughout the whole district. So we could lower the assessments if we kept it as a low pressure system through its extent. And that was really a goal we had all along, was to try to keep the cost down to the property owners. So with that established, then we checked density, potential development that may occur in the district, and we assumed a rate of about 1.5 RUs per acre, and this system can accommodate that type of a development. So on a 10-acre parcel, it would accommodate about 15 RUs, and that's a measure of wastewater generation. An RU is equivalent to a residential house, a single-family home, or numerically 260 gallons per RU. And so that would support many commercial uses. We checked the table that seemed to check out that that's a pretty dense level of development that system can accommodate. By going across the property in the middle, that did also give us the flexibility to maybe connect some of the homes in the middle, some of the properties in the middle by gravity instead of the grinder pump system. So that's an option that this easement that Mr. Ulysses granted allows us to do.
Which would add then to the capacity
that
the rest of the force main system would have.
Others might be able to increase their usage. Absolutely. So with that concept forward, all the easements granted for the public part of the system, we went to bids this fall. In September, we received bids. We were extremely impressed by the bids that we got. They were well below our estimate, which again, the costs keep going down, which we think is a good thing. And the nice thing about the bids is the low bidder was a local contractor that Northfield Township has worked with before, and we've had very good success with. So we got a good price and a good contractor. So if that's part of your consideration, that I feel good that we have that in place. So that will require you, if you wish to accept that bid, you will need to accept his bid by early January, or he would be free to withdraw the bid. So it's just another piece of information. And that's an extended period of time. We pushed that out an extra 30 days beyond the norm, just so we have more time to make our decision on this district. So again, Mr. Benzinski's here. He can talk about the assessment process a little bit. I can talk about a few other costs that would be associated with connecting to a sewer system. in particular a low-pressure sewer system. Any new connection to a sewer system would require the existing septic tank and septic field to be abandoned. And generally that's done by hiring a contractor to crush in the septic tank and fill it with sand so it doesn't collapse in the future. So the property owners would be required to abandon that septic tank. And some would do it themselves, some might hire a contractor to do that. I can't tell you exactly the cost to do that, but we've seen in other places maybe $1,000 to $1,500 for that to take place. And then any new connection to the sewer system would require what's called a system development charge, or a more common name is a connection fee. And that fee can change with time. The current fee is $3,550 per REU. So a single-family home that were to connect would have an additional fee at the time of connection. If that's 2016 or 2020, they would have a fee at that time. Currently, that fee is $3,550. For those that have an existing home, existing property, I should say, and connect to the sewer system right now, the cost of the grinder pump is included in the assessment. So that would be installed at the time the project is built. For those that build a building down the road, there would be a cost for that grinder pump then that would need it to connect to the sewer system. We'll talk through if the project goes forward how the township would like to handle that, but most of that cost is generally passed on to the property owner. I believe that would probably be, for the grinder pump and the lateral out to the street, would be about $8,000. That may, again, we'll talk about the mechanics of how that may happen if the project proceeds, but that's my best guess at the cost of that right now. Then if the project were to go forward, the property owners in this district would be required to connect to the sewer system after the construction is complete. The township has an ordinance in place already that governs that, and right now it says that the property owners will have 90 days to connect after the sewer system becomes operational. So we think the project will be done in late 2016. So I think the property owners would be ready to connect either in late 2016 or maybe in the spring of 2017 when the warm weather returns.
You're saying property owners, but do you mean if they have a building on it?
Yes, any building would be required to connect.
So if a property owner owns vacant land?
Well, then there's nothing to connect.
Okay, I just want to make that clear.
Any building with plumbing would be required to connect. That's a better way to say it.
Excuse me?
Any property that has plumbing would be required to connect to the sanitary sewer system. So the schedule, as far as the schedule would go, again, a decision needs to be given to the contractor by early January, or his bid, he would be eligible to withdraw his bid. If it proceeds, even if you notified them in January, my guess is they would probably start at the spring-fall, March or April timeframe, start with the project. Contractually, they have most of 2016 to get it completed. It probably won't take the full construction season to complete that. Again, we don't have a schedule because we haven't awarded the contract, but I think late summer, fall, it likely would be done. So I will be available. I can be available for questions now or later.
I just have one question. Regarding the automatic hookup, is that just because it's our blanket ordinance that we have?
That is your blanket ordinance, your standing ordinance.
But if we wanted to alter that, we could for this district?
I would think so, yes. Mr. Burns might be in a better position to answer that than me. But
Wayne?
I'm not sure I understand. I know you said something about it, but I didn't get it. The owner furnished equipment. Owner furnished equipment.
Yes, you're looking at the assessment costs. Owner furnished equipment is the cost of the grinder pumps. Northfield Township would purchase that independent of the construction contract, and the contractor is paid to install those. So that's owner furnished equipment. owner being the township.
But the owners are paying.
Well, that's all part of the assessment.
Yeah, okay.
Owner in this case means
I just-
Northfield Township.
Yeah, I don't want to get too technical because I don't really understand a lot of this, but construction costs is $474,000. Design, $82,000. Construction engineering, $85,000. That's $167,000 that all these poor people out here are paying the township. You know, and this is a large fee for a $473,000 job. You got $214,000 for design and construction. I mean, seems like they need a good lawyer out there, I think, and engineers and consultants.
Just as a point of clarification, my contract for design is $92,000. I will not use all of that. My estimate is I will use about $80,000 of that.
Well, it says here, construction engineering, $82,000. Is that a guesstimate?
That's a budget number for the present time.
Oh, wow.
It may be lower, sir.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. It seems like we're really charging the people out here for what they're getting done. Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions for Brian right now? No? All right. Anyone in the public that's here for the special meeting? Do you have any specific questions for Mr. Rubel? Sure, go ahead.
We have two parcels right alongside of each other on US 23. One is 1.77 acres, and it has the gas line. It used to be the Consumers Power Gas, the big gas line. North. Is it the one? Yeah, that's it. You're right. Good eye. Anyway, big Consumers Power Gas line goes through it. Has the easement for the entire parcel except for 18 feet on each lot line. There is no hope ever to put a building on that of any sort. Do we still need to do the sewer connection in that case where there is no, I mean, unless Consumers comes and pulls that out? Very small chance.
Is your question whether you would be assessed? You would be part of the district?
Yeah, I understand we're part of the district.
I see.
Are we going to need to pay a connection at any?
You would only pay a connection when you build a building and connect to the sewer. That's when a connection fee would be
No building,
assessed.
no connection fee.
All right. You want to start, anyone for the rest of our presentation? Do we want to follow up with that and then?
Mr. Benzinski is here to talk about the financing
Yep.
of the project. So.
Good evening. Thank you, Brian. My name is Ryan Benzinski. I'm with Benzinski and Company, and we've assisted the township in the past and in regards to this project with the actual funding for the project. We have prepared cost estimates, as Brian mentioned, based on the construction bids the engineers have received, so we know those numbers are firm. We prepared the cash flow for the parcels and the project as a whole in accordance with Act 188, which is the Township Special Assessment Act of Act 1954. This has all been reviewed by the Township's General Counsel, Mr. Burns, and also the Township's Bond Counsel, Miller, Canfield, Paddock, and Stone, one of the finest bond counsels in the state of Michigan, and their attorney, Laura Bassett, is here tonight. So with all the numbers being set forth, my job is to not technically verify the numbers or the cost. I want to make sure that the numbers and the cost are firm, that those numbers won't go up. Due to the fact that we do have construction bids, those numbers are firm, those numbers should not move. I then take the information that's given to me and I come up with various assessments as to what the bonds may sell at. I've based my assumptions based on other issues that are similar in size, duration, and have the same type of credit quality or economics as this township. As of today, we've assumed that the bonds would sell at 4%. Under the Township Special Assessment Act, you can charge up to 1% of the rate borne on the bonds, which is to allow for any delinquencies, any special assessments that don't get paid, or any people that decide to prepay their special assessment after the initial period without any penalty, to make sure that going forward that there is sufficient cash flow to continue to pay the bonds and ultimately make sure that the bonds don't go into default. The township would pledge their full faith and credit. That is simply a marketing tool that the township uses. It's very hard to sell bonds without a full faith and credit pledge of the municipality, due to the fact that investors are not going to buy, you know, I'm giving you my word, I promise to repay this note. Therefore, the township board, assuming that they make a motion to go ahead and approve this and move forward with this, is probably doing the property owners a great deal of benefit by supporting this, issuing their full faith and credit. The bonds would be primarily payable and hopefully only solely payable from the assessments due to the various, based on, excuse me, the various property owners. In the event that there's any delinquencies, people don't pay their assessments, the township would be on the hook to go ahead and pay that, you know, while they're waiting for that payment to be remitted. I've assumed 4% on the bonds. I think based on current market rates, we would do much better than that today. I believe that interest rate is high, to the tune of somewhere between 50 to 75 basis points. However, I don't know where the market's going to go in the future. If you believe everything you read, interest rates are probably going to go up sometime within the next quarter, depending on what the Federal Reserve does. I've tried to be very cautious and assume a rate higher than what I realistically anticipate the bonds to sell at. Again, that is to try and, just as Brian has done, give the property owners the worst case scenario. The bonds have been structured, like I said, in accordance with all the acts. They'd be payable semi-annually, based on the revenues received December 1 from the initial property owners. If anybody has any specific questions in regards to the interest rates, their specific assessments, I'd be happy to answer those. If it's more of an engineering question, Brian will address that, or a legal question, Laura from Miller Canfield would be happy to address those. So with that, if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to address, or you know, we can continue forward, and if questions arise, we can address them as they come up.
But before we get to questions, is anybody else scheduled to speak, Laura? Are you just, if anything arises that the board has, that would be?
Yes, I have nothing to add.
You have nothing to add, okay. And so Brian, your presentation is complete? Okay.
I got a question, Laura.
Actually, can we hold off? Howard would like to see if there's anyone in the public that would like to speak for or against the district, and then we will all do all of our questions at this. Can we hold off on your question? No, just
Forever?
No, just for a little bit.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
I got all night.
All right. I'd like to ask the public at this point if there's anyone who'd like to speak favorably or against the district, and then we can open up to our questions at that time. Is there anyone that would like to stand up and speak for or against the project?
Good evening. My name is Scott Munzel. I'm here representing Udo Huff and Sherry Wagger, who reside at 6431 Whitmore Lake Road. They own that parcel, which is tax parcel 2-29-200-009, and they also own the property to the north, which is 6475 Whitmore Lake Road, which has the same tax parcel except the last
Mr.
digits
Munzel,
are-
can you talk just a little closer to that, please?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. The parcel to the north of theirs, of the house, is 010. They have owned and resided at that location for almost 30 years.
Sir?
Yep.
You can take that out.
There we go. Okay. Basically, Udo and Sherry object to the assessment as it has been assessed to, or proposed to be assessed against their property, against these two parcels. It's zoned agricultural. They reside on the one property to the south. They have a small horse boarding operation on the property to the north. So it is in fact used for agricultural purposes. 6431 does have a working septic system in place. It's in good shape. They maintain it regularly. There's no reason to assume that it would fail at any time in the near future. 6475 does not have a septic field, but it does have tiles, and there's no reason to suspect that it would not perk. The issue is that this special assessment district will not have any appreciable increase in value to their two properties. Michigan case law is very clear that there be some proportionality between the cost of the assessment and the increase in the value of the property that is created by that assessment. There are several cases that strike a special assessment district or an assessment against a particular property when that cost is disproportionate to the value that has been generated, including one case in particular where the value of 1.8 in cost to value was found to be excessive. So there's a very real question about whether the increase in value to their particular property, this doesn't relate to how this SAD may affect the other properties, but as to their particular property, if there's very little increase in value caused by this, then the assessment that you're proposing to assess to them will be disproportionate and will be basically illegal under Michigan law. Udo and Sherry have spoken with several real estate brokers who've confirmed that in their opinion, these two parcels will not have any significant increase in value based on the construction of the sewer. And that conclusion is actually supported by common sense if you think about it. They live in the property, the house where they currently live. It's got a functioning septic system. There's no reason to assume that the construction of a sewer line will increase the value of that property. Again, this may very well increase value of other properties in the district. But as far as to Udo and Sherry's property, it won't. Even if you think about that it could be rezoned in the future for industrial purposes, given that it's a total of 10 acres, it's extremely unlikely that that property would be used the way it currently is. In other words, anyone who's buying that for industrial purposes would really be buying it for the raw land value, which is going to likely be less than the current value. So again, even if it's rezoned at some point in the future, there will not be an increase in value created by the special assessment district. So accordingly, if there is this very, very low increase in value, it will violate that proportionality rule that's required, which would violate the state law. And essentially, it requires them to subsidize the other owners who would be benefiting by this, which is essentially unfair according to the state law. So essentially today they're requesting that their assessment be reduced to a very nominal amount that would be in proportion to the very insignificant, if any, increase in value that may be created. And they would also request that they not be required to connect to the system, even if it's built, or if it's built, until they actually sell the property, because at some point they assume that they're going to be moving or who knows what, but until such time, they don't believe that there's a need for them to connect, and so they would also ask that they not be required to connect until they sell the property. We'll be here, I assume after you close the public hearing, there'll be a discussion, and we're here to discuss this further with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in the district?
My name's Dale Brewer. I'm a real estate broker, and I represent two of the parcels that are in the district. And again, we do believe that it's a favorable opportunity and a necessity for the district to be allowed to develop. And it appears that there's some oversight in Mr. Munzel's comments, because there's an overlay district on that which allows and also is already in place to allow for any industrial commercial developments in that area. So again, it's even though the use is agricultural, the actual zoning is not. The other thing I'd like to just comment on is that I believe that in some cases there is the opportunity to get a hardship if it's due, and that defers the payments until such time as the sale of the property. Again, I'm not an expert on that, but it seems to me that I do recall that there is a provision which allows for a hardship, and then it just delays the collection of the assessments until the sale of the property. But you know, I think that it looks very good. It sounds as if the study has done a great job with you know, coming up with the proper density based upon what was just discussed earlier by Brian. I do have a question to Ryan or to whomever regarding whether you're looking at SRF funding or you're looking at open bond sales funding, and then also when the construction bids will be open, so that the public has a final number on what those will be. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers for or against the project? Come on up.
Hello, I'm Richard Bradburn. I own 10 acres, the third parcel down from the north. It's a light industrial zone right now. That property really is, to me, is useless until I get the sewers. It will greatly increase the value of the sewers. Very impressed with the presentation today and the clarity of it all. Just let you know I'm for it. Thank you.
Could you repeat your last name?
Bradburn.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Anyone else that would like to speak for or against?
David Gordon, 5558 Helena Road. I'm kind of curious if someone could explain what the history of this special assessment district is and why the southern border where it is delineated where it is, because it's coincidental that Biltmore came in here and option property that came right up to the very tip of where this special assessment district goes south. I don't believe in coincidences. It would not surprise me to find out that they were part and parcel of this, getting the ball rolling, because then they can come in and say, we'd like to extend the sewer down to our option properties. It's not leapfrogging, which is against our current ordinances to leapfrog development. If you take a look at the Biltmore option properties, it comes right up to the very southern tip of this. Second question that I have is, how much money do we have in the SAD account? People have been paying into this account for years and years and years. They had special assessment districts created for them. Do we have any idea how much money is in there? And when you expand sewers, you greatly increase the value of the people's property that you're expanding them to. It's one of the biggest decisions that you can make as a township leader, is extending sewers somewhere. Is the plan to extend them to here and then continue to extend them? Is it going to stop here? Or is this just part and parcel of trying to fill in the entire 23 corridor with development? I don't anticipate getting any answers to these questions, because I don't seem to get any answers from the chair. So the question becomes, I'm on the hook for this $800,000 as well as every single other person who lives in this community. Mr. Budzinski said the full faith and credit of this community stands behind this bond. Something fails, it's going to be on my tax roll. So the people that may or may not get this sewer extended to them can thank me and all the residents here for giving the full faith and credit to back up the bond that you guys plan on putting out there. To me, this looks kind of suspicious. The entire design looks like it's just a way to get around the current zoning and put houses in the southern portion of our community. So if someone, our engineer could tell us how this project has to happen, because these people have had their businesses there for a long time without this sewer. What's the necessity?
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the district that would like to speak for or against?
That worked. My name's Craig Warburton. I live at 450 West Joy Road. Standing back in the back, listening to some of this take place, this township has become a place where you better show up at all the government meetings if you want to protect your interests. As soon as the Biltmore thing came up, there was tons of conversation about sewer capacity. And everything I listened to about that was that on a rainy day, we were maxed out. I don't know where you're going to put all that ground up stuff. Obviously, in the new multi-million-dollar catch basin that you're about to build, but we seem to be spending money at an incredible rate. I'm not sure where it's all coming from. I think there's still only about 8,000 people in the township, 4,200 voters. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel now like I need to be here every other Tuesday and every other Wednesday to just watch out for what's going on, because it's turned into an awfully strange place. I don't know why these people have to be subjected to sewers other than you want to engineer it and be able to sell a tremendous development just south of it. I don't know how you look at that wall and not see the spaghetti stick. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Tamara Bowman, 6404 Whitmore Lake Road. I guess if there were meetings of a conspiracy, you forgot to invite me. I'm here to say I'm thrilled with the sewers. We have 2 parcels. We've been in the community for 30 years. We've paid our taxes, been part of the parades and all the things that happen in a small community, and thank God we're going to finally get sewers. We did have septic tank problems. We have had drain field problems, so have the neighbor that we share the driveway with. When we went to the health department, we discovered that going back some 50 or 60 years, because of the clay soil, this was a common issue. We're raising our children and grandchildren in the community. I'm delighted for something that makes it a safer and better place for children and families to live. And if there are any parties at these conspiracy meetings, please include me next time. I'd like to be part of them.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against the district? All right. It's always a practice of mine to ask it for 3 times, so make sure that everyone has an opportunity to talk. So is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on the proposed sewer assessment district spreading the roll? Going once, twice. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on the proposed sewer assessment district spreading the roll? No other speakers? Last call. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on the proposed sewer assessment district spreading the roll? All right.
Board member. Do you want to close it before board members?
Yeah. Okay. Wayne?
You can either way. You can ask for board member comments and then close it, or you can close it and then the board member can discuss.
No, we can leave it open as Wayne had his question. Are you ready, Wayne?
I had a comment when the guy was standing up there talking how close he was on the votes or on the money. I was not going to go up or down, but I noticed he's got $41,263 in contingency. Well, I suppose if you're close on your numbers, they're not gonna go up and down. I guess you're pretty safe if you added another $41,000 in there. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Howard, maybe you could just clarify this, or someone else.
Sure.
The reason for this, the reason this all came about
Mhm.
was because a petition was put forth by the residents, correct?
Correct.
And this has nothing to do with any development.
Correct.
I mean, as I even remember, this was around before we even heard the word Biltmore.
Correct.
Okay. My second question to Brian, could you address that? What about the additional sewage and the fact that our sewer plant, you know, we have certain taps promised, and that what will happen if everybody taps in?
But before Mr.
Oh,
Rubel
go
addresses
ahead.
that, I just
I'm-
wanted to
I just-
reiterate, Kathy, you are right.
I'm just-
This came about because the property owners within the district petitioned the township board to create the special assessment district. Period.
And this was nothing that we solicited.
And this board did not solicit it. It actually happened prior to this board, prior to me coming. This was in place way before the conversation of Biltmore ever came about, and this district is not designed and has no impact on any development south. Would you agree with that, Mr. Rubel?
All those are true facts, absolutely.
Thank you for the clarification on that. Appreciate it. It needed to be said.
Ms. Braun, to answer your question, again, this district is relatively small compared to the whole sewer service area that you have. I don't think it would even be a measurable impact at the plant for many, many years. So does that answer your question?
Great, thank you. Janet.
On a different subject, in a letter from Steve Mann, there's a note that if the township desires a different due date for the first installment, that the board could change the due date for the first installment. Is that what we're looking at, or?
Is that what you're voting on tonight? Is that what you're asking?
Is that we could consider changing the date of the first installment? Is that what this letter is saying?
Yes, that's a possibility, but we would need to check with Benzinski and Associates to understand how the change of the first installment affects the cash flow and the payment back of the bonds. And so that would be very dependent on financial advisor advice on how that's going to have a measurable effect.
So, but the subsequent payments would still be December 1st? Is that how
Well,
I understand it?
that's an assumption that everything goes smoothly.
Okay.
As the board has been sort of given information, obviously there are things that can happen after tonight's meeting that may in fact change that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? Just as a side note, if this does pass, I would like to have further discussion about maybe the opportunity for everyone not to have to hook up immediately and only when a septic fails, something like that. Anyone else?
Are we voting on anything?
Not yet. I need to close the public hearing if we're done.
Okay, well, when we vote, I don't want to be a stickler here, but I want to know what we're going to call it. Are we going to call it the North Territorial? Yeah, let's get this straight.
It is called the Whitmore Lake.
It's defined as what is in the resolution, and within the resolution, it is defined as the Whitmore Lake Sewer Assessment District, or maybe even says special assessment district. It's in your resolution, and in point of fact, the resolution is what you are ultimately voting on. Question for, if I may, Marilyn, question for council. Should we read into the record the full resolution, or is the title sufficient? Thank you.
What was the outcome?
All right, do I have any further questions from the board members?
Excuse me?
Any other further questions?
No, what happened? What did Howard say? I didn't.
It's Whitmore Lake. Well, it's technically, hold on, let me read it.
Okay, so that's what it's called, what it says on the
Special assessment,
what it says on the paper.
yeah.
Whitmore Lake Sewer Special Assessment
Well,
District.
what I'm looking at says North Territorial. Oh, okay, okay. All right.
Okay, we good?
I didn't see.
All right, anyone down here on my left?
That's on a different page.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing at this point. Ingstrom motioned, Otto supported. Those in favor? Aye.
Those opposed?
No opposed. Thank you.
No, ask those opposed.
Oh, any opposed? Motion passes. All right, then that takes us to that closes our public hearing. And will take us on to our agenda items, which number 1 is regarding the special assessment resolution for the Whitmore Lake Sewer Project. So I would like to make a motion to approve the special assessment resolution number 4 for the Township of Northfield, County of Washtenaw, State of Michigan, to spread the assessment roll for the Whitmore Lake Sewer Special Assessment District in the amount of $800,000.
Do we specify the amount of 800,000? Okay. So
Will
then
you
just
strike
go-
the, well,
Yeah.
will you strike the 800,000? Thank you.
Support.
Engstrom motioned, and was that Chick supported? All right.
Roll call.
A roll call vote, please. I'll start, so I'm sorry. You got that, Lisa? Engstrom motion, Chick supported. Chick?
Yes.
Braun? Yes. Dockett?
Yes.
Engstrom, yes. Westover?
Yes.
Otto?
Yes.
Thomas? Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. All right. That takes us to number 2 on our agenda items, the DDA appointments. And as we've already discussed, there were, several applicants. And I don't know if anyone had any special concerns or anything, but I do have 3 that I would like to pick and hopefully appoint, and looking for your support if you don't mind. And I'm sorry, I got a little messed up on my paperwork.
I do that all the time.
I don't know what is wrong with me tonight. I got it everywhere. All right, so the DDA appointments first. So there's a 4-year term. Well, actually, I'll just do it with a motion. I would like to appoint Somar Jamil for a 4-year term to the DDA starting retroactively June 1st, 2014. No, is that correct? Yeah, I wrote these down. I'm not sure if it was a. Okay, let's start over. I would like to appoint Somar Jamil for a 4-year term to the DDA starting retroactively June 1st, 2014.
You vote on these separately.
Yeah, I'll vote on them separately.
Okay. This is the Little Porky's one.
Little Porky's, correct.
Okay.
Okay, Ingstrom motioned and Braun supported. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Mr.
Wow.
Sorry. I apologize, I'm interrupting. Mr. Burns has indicated that maybe I should clarify the language. It's not retroactive to June 1st, 2014. It is only for a 2.5-year term. So whatever 4 years from June 1st to 1st, 2014 is, it's just a shortened term. It's the same, we're saying the same thing, but you know, nobody gets to go back retroactively and vote on
Should
stuff.
we say the end date instead of the beginning date?
Yes, I apologize.
So it's a 4-year term, so it's June 1 of
18, right.
Why don't you just say ending?
Ending.
Ends May. It would
My
should be-
apologies. Marilyn.
I asked for the dates, and this is what I was giving you guys, so.
Marilyn, that's my fault.
And it should end May 30th, 2018.
No,
May 30th?
Yeah,
why May 30th?
because the next one starts June 1st.
Oh, you're right.
2018.
Yeah,
Oh, May 31st, sorry. It's an off month, yeah.
Lisa, I'm going to start all over. But it's basically the same. I'm going to make a motion to approve the appointment to Somar Jamil to the DDA for a term ending May 31st, 2018. Ingstrom motioned and Braun supported. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. On to our, hold on, I have it all retroactive, so. I hope I get this one right, so it's backwards again for me. So I'll make a motion to approve appoint Dave Eli to the DDA for Dave Eli? That's the EDSS?
Is that Eli?
I'm sorry.
Oh, Ely?
Yeah. It's Eli, okay, Eli.
Oh, okay.
For a term ending May 31st, 2018.
Support.
19, sorry.
I still support.
Lisa, do you got it? I've been interrupted. Okay, Ingstrom motioned and Chick supported. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. I would also like to make a motion to appoint Doug Wilbur to the DDA for a 4-year term.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just get rid of the 4-year term for a term ending May 31st, 2019.
Support.
Ingstrom motion, Otto supported. Those in favor? Aye.
I have a question.
Yes.
I mean, I have a statement.
Yes.
Doug Weber owed us many thousands of dollars on personal property tax that he did not pay, and I will not support Doug Weber on this for that reason.
All right, you done?
I'd like to ask for a roll call vote.
Okay, he's asked for a roll call vote. Switch it up, Thomas.
Yes.
Otto.
Yes.
Westover.
Yes.
Ingstrom, yes. Dockett.
No.
Braun.
Yes.
Check.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, welcome everyone to the DDA. Okay, number 3, the Vigilante Solutions Data Access System for the Police Department. We talked about this a little while ago and needed some more information, and Bill, you're up.
All right, I think I have some more information on this. Hopefully I can answer the questions, and if I can't, we have an officer in the audience that can help us with that. So basically this is a law enforcement database that will do crime mapping, image recognition, suspicious vehicle, and they keep all of this information in a database for our officers and other agencies throughout the United States to use. And while the motion is calling for $7,500, our portion of that is only $2,500 because it's being purchased out of the state drug forfeiture fund. And that forfeiture fund, we actually bring money in for 2 other agencies and then divide it up. So we are actually dividing the purchase of this up among 3 agencies, ourselves and 2 other agencies.
But our question last week, 2 weeks ago, was, is it dues? Is it every year?
It is a
one-time charge?
1-year subscription. And
well, so it's something every year.
Well, we're only asking for it for this year. If we want it for next year, we'll come back and ask for it again.
And it's paid out of the drug enforcement?
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, wait, I have a
think
question.
Janet has a question.
Oh, okay.
Look this way. I saw a little bit about this actually on a show on TV. Now, the purpose of using this is to look for people that are suspect. It's not, they're not going to be scanning license plates and storing that data just to scan license plates and store data.
We don't have that ability to do that, no.
Okay.
They probably don't have the database or server to house all that either.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have the ability to do that scanning and stuff like that. For us, for our purposes, and for what Northfield Township and these other agencies that will be using it, will manually enter stuff and then have access for other agencies that have either manually or scanned or however they enter it.
I think you're up.
Oh, I'm up. Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the purchase of the Vigilante Solution license plate recognition software for the sum of $75. Vigilant, sorry. Vigilant Solution license plate recognition software for the sum of $7,500.
Support.
Well, the total is 75, but the effect on the Northfield Township's money is only 2,500.
Yeah,
We'll
so
pay
we
the
have
whole
to
thing.
say the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Otto motion, Westover supported. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, then that takes us to number 4, the hiring of the front desk clerk.
Number 4?
Okay, I'll make the motion to accept the hiring of, and I'm gonna make a mess of her name, Dawn Sam Filipino? Or Filipio?
Filippo.
Filipio?
Sam Filipio.
Sam Filipio, okay.
Filippo.
To start November 12th.
I'll support. Otto motion, Ingstrom supported. Discussion, Wayne?
Did we look for anyone in Northfield Township to fill this position?
Yes, there was people that applied that lived in Northfield
I
Township.
can't hear you, Howard.
Yes, there were people that applied that lived in Northfield Township.
Well, I would have liked to seen someone from Northfield Township get this position. I think it's fair.
All right, any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. On to number 5. As you see in Howard's memo regarding the staff performance raises, I'd like to make a motion to approve Howard's, do you need all of these spelled out or just as
No, just
presented
as
as the memo?
As
Okay.
presented.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the staff raises as presented by Howard in his memo dated 11/6/15,
And to affirm the ones that were already previously budgeted.
and affirm the ones that were already previously budgeted.
Support.
Ingstrom motioned, Chick supported. Wayne?
This is one of several raises that Howard has put out in the last, I don't know, year or so. I think it's the third or maybe fourth one. I would like to state that, you know, I got no cost. I'm on Social Security. And Social Security is something you pay into for, I've been paying into it for 60 years. It's an insurance policy. I got no cost of living this year. And I don't see why we should be giving out raises every few months to these people. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Motion passes. On to our last agenda item, which is number 6, outstanding sewer bill. Howard or Paul, you want to take the lead on that one?
Yes, I sent you the letter from Mr. Ron Atcho, who has been retained to represent the Shell station on the delinquent sewer usage bill. In any event, that letter was forwarded to the board. I think you all got it.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, sir.
I said I forwarded the letter from Ron Atcho, the attorney for the Shell sewer bill. Howard and I spoke with Ron Atcho today on the phone before the meeting, and his position is that the statute of limitations is a 2-year statute of limitations, but they would still honor the offer of settlement that was negotiated between Howard and the property owner. And so he asked that we tell the board that the offer still stands if the township would like to settle the matter.
I'll make a motion to approve the approved settlement. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Howard, do you have anything? Or can I just say between the Shell station or?
Yeah, just
I'm sorry.
To authorize the finalization of the settlement that Howard negotiated between the Shell station and Northfield Township. We'd prepare the appropriate documents. And I recommend the settlement as well.
Yeah, it's still 50% for the, what was negotiated and then 100% for the current ones that, all the numbers we've seen before, right?
I would like to know what the big hurry is. I mean, I don't understand why we should do it right away. I mean, is there some kind of a law that says we have to do something like that right now?
Only that two things. Howard negotiated the agreement, and secondly, the statute of limitation is running. So for every, the more you delay, the more the claim is time barred.
The more, what was
that?
that?
The claim is time barred the longer you delay in resolving the matter.
So what is the actual statute of limitations?
I believe it's 6 years, but the bills are 14 years old. So will be 8 years that are, in my opinion, barred by the applicable statute of limitations. And so the longer you wait, the less there is that the township can pursue.
But his position is it's 2 years, so are we?
His position is it's 2 years, but basically Howard's proposed resolution is we'll get 100% of the money that's not barred by the statute of limitations.
Up to the 6-year point, not the 2 year.
Correct.
Okay.
I didn't add up what the 6-year statute is. I know somebody had, and it comes pretty darn close to what we negotiated.
It was only probably about $100 or $200 or off.
So
it was less than $200 off.
You know, I've given my recommendation to the board already.
Well, I don't see any hurry. I mean, I just don't understand why we just don't hold off. That's my position. Thank you.
The only thing that I would like to offer here, and I read the attorney's letter, I understand that he's an upstanding citizen of our community, but this is taxpayer dollars. I mean, we all pay into the sewer. We all pay utilities. I'm sure if DTE turned off your electricity tomorrow, they would make sure you pay all of it. I think that there was a responsibility here to pay a bill. And I understand the statute of limitations and everything. So I just wanted to stand on record that even though he really owes this, and he probably knew that he owed it, he didn't pay it.
On the flip side of that, we also have a responsibility to provide a bill over the course of 14 years.
You try telling that to your auto loan company or your bank or any other loan that you have.
Okay, I had started a motion, never completed it. I will start over. I'll make a motion to authorize the finalization of the sewer bill settlement for the Shell station. Is that enough?
As negotiated by Howard.
As negotiated by Howard.
Roll call.
I need a second. Ingstrom motioned, Thomas supported. We will do a roll call vote. Check. Braun. Dockett.
No.
Ingstrom, yes. Westover.
Yes.
Otto.
Very disappointedly, yes.
And Thomas.
Yes.
Motion passes. That takes us on to our second call to the public. Another opportunity to speak. Not a question and answer session. And as always, we do try to limit you to 3 minutes.
Mary Devlin, 9211 Brookside. Regarding the item that you just talked about on the agenda, it seems to me that if everybody's getting, billed for their sewers and you aren't getting one, why would you not go to the office and say, where's my bill? Why am I not getting one? Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Yep, David Gordon, 5558 Helena Road. I've asked this question before. I'm going to keep asking it. Does the board have any interest in directing the township manager to find somebody to rent the second floor of this building? Are any efforts being made whatsoever to do that, to pay off the $250,000 or $60,000 or $70,000 that we're paying on the $4 million that this was a cost overrun that created this second floor? Howard said to me privately he would answer it if the board directed him to. I haven't, I can keep asking questions. I don't get answers, but that seems to be par for the course.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak this evening? All right. Takes us on to our board member comments. I'll start to my left. Anyone down here?
I would just like to say Happy Veterans Day to all our vets.
Thank you. Jackie?
Yeah, I would like to wish all our veterans and those who have passed a happy Veterans Day.
All right. Anyone down here? Go ahead, Wayne.
Hey, I'd like to ask to put, have on our workshop or next about about this deal. I don't want to come back a month from now and find out we got another problem, and then have somebody say, "Oh, we set a precedent on collecting this money." So, I hope we didn't do that tonight. So I think it's something we should talk about because we don't know what else might be out there.
I agree with you. I was going to make the same recommendation that we have an audit of, I know we had an audit, but I don't know if we still have any outstanding out there.
Okay, so maybe we can discuss it or what we're going to do in the future rather than just roll over. Buy and use local services if you can. And it's hardly worth noticing this month, this 2 weeks, the township spent $216,740. That's not very much. And remember, tomorrow is Veterans Day. Kiss a vet.
Wayne, are you a vet?
I'm a vet, but I'm looking for some hugs. Thank you.
Janet, go ahead.
Two things. Just wanted to remind everybody on Thursday, November 12th at 4 to 7 p.m. here in the Northfield Township Hall, the US 23 corridor, M14 to I-96 Aesthetic Concepts Open House is being held. So everybody please come and give your thoughts and ideas to that. And actually, Howard, since it did come up, haven't they in the past, or if we have not done it, looked into government entities renting the second floor?
So a few answers to that question. It had been looked in the past. I have talked to some people at the county, some folks on the county board. I've sort of brought it up to some judges when Kathy and I go to court, and we've discussed some things. You know, as Mr. Gordon indicated in the office, he did give a list. I could probably come back with a list that's 3,000 pages, and I don't mean to be curt, but I mean the list is as long as we want it to be. The reality is that what is realistic? The federal government has a whole department of real estate that rents out and looks for locations. It's, you know, those, I mean, we're not real estate people. We're not real estate brokers. We're not in the business of giving incentives to build out. If we started getting into, we're going to build out for a government agency to come up here, first of all, we have to find the government agency that's interested, and then we have to get into the details of all of the build out that would be occurring. What's more realistic in the cost? What's more, I mean, we can, I mean, literally, and I don't, it's not in a curt response, and it's not in a curt way, but the list is actually greater than what Mr. Gordon indicated. The list is thousands. I mean, there are non-governmental agencies everywhere, and yeah, they do rent space. Realistically, though, is the county interested? Are the courts interested? Is this a location for those type of uses? And I have not heard anything through my interactions, conversations with these folks, that there is any interest in expanding any of these offices. And so I just don't think that the idea of renting out the office to a governmental agency today in Southeast Michigan is realistic. But we have made inquiries. I mean, I've made inquiries to various county board members, to various judges. Initially, this thing was talked about, maybe the courts would want to have a court out here. The courts are trying to decrease the number of locations that they have, not expand the number of locations that they have. So I'm willing to follow up on kind of realistic opportunities, but to throw it out there to the full sort of just all government entities, if we wanted to do that, we should hire a realtor, and the realtor should put the space on the market, and it should be marketed. I'm not a commercial real estate broker. I'm not somebody who negotiates, you know, leases in that way and identifies what build-out costs and scenarios are. Those are all things that are related to that. You know, I have dealt with real estate deals through governmental agencies. They take a long time. They take a long time for you to get into their system. They take a long time for you to get into their process. It's not a simple process. And frankly, I don't have unlimited time and capacity to do everything. So if we come up with an entity that we think may be expanding, or that we think that there's an opportunity with, or that we may have a relationship with, I'm happy to reach out to that. But I don't think
that as just a sort of blanket cold call basis, that it's a good use of resources and time.
And just to piggyback off of what Howard said, this board during our retreat had it as an agenda item, and we had extensive discussion on this. And while it is a priority, it is a bigger, like Howard said, there's a bigger job here to do. It's more beyond what this board and Howard can do. And we thought best to have some priorities in place. So it isn't just this board that has had to address the second floor. There's many boards before us that had to do the same thing.
I mean, I am happy, I think that a realistic approach would be the county. I'm happy to reach out to the county, okay? Because I think that that's a potentially most likely scenario. But if we're talking about, I agree with Jackie, and I want to reiterate this. If we're talking about a cold call basis, we're talking about a pretty significant outlay of time, resources, and capacity, and I don't think we have that. If that's something that the board wishes to do and wants to do, then I would say we look to a commercial we look to a commercial broker and we put it on the market for governmental agencies or governmental entities that have those relationships. I can contact the county. Huh? I didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, I can go and talk with the administrator at the county. You know, other than that, even you get into even real estate dealings at the state level, it gets infinitely complicated. And this is not a built-out environment.
Well, and that's the next step. Then you have to, you know, you have to get somebody who's willing to build this out.
Or you have to, Paul, you know a little bit more about this. You'd have to negotiate, you know, a triple net lease. Marilyn, you know a lot about this. You have to negotiate a triple net lease, and you have to negotiate the build-out credits, which in a building like this would be hundreds of thousands of dollars to build out. Just to drop, I mean, you guys remember what we were looking at over there.
Okay, Howard, if we want you to do that, we'll let you know.
Right.
Let's
Sorry, I don't mean to go on, but thanks, but.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Thank you.